Okay, let's see if this is going to work. Bum. Please work. I know there's a delay. Okay. Oh, okay. Got sound. All right, this is going to work. Yes, and. I don't know what happened before, but I'm back and you can hear me. High five, high 10. Hola, Kay. Hola, Regine. Okay, sound is working. Hopefully everybody comes back in. I don't know what happened. Hi, Allie. Okay, so let's go. I've got, I had a busy week last week, but on Friday night, I went into somebody's house and did readings at their house. They had a group of their friends that wanted readings, and I did three private 30-minute readings. I normally charge $200 an hour for that with a minimum of 2 hours, but I'm going to up my rates on that because it is exhausting doing readings in person. It's way more tiring than just like this, like back and forth. Like I feel exhausted when I'm done with those. So I'm not going to go crazy, just like $50 more an hour, like nothing. I'm worth it. And then I went, this is something I think that's, something important for everybody. I went Saturday morning to a family's house. I've done a clearing there before because their daughter is sensitive, and this was a few years ago, but she's older now. She's 11 now. And so I said, I'm not going to do the clearing. I'm going to teach her how to do it, because they're like, well, you did it and it was fine. And then it was like, or I'll sage for a couple of days and then it's fine. And then it's, whatever again. And I said, well, you don't clean your house once and just go, well, I'm done cleaning forever. Like just, stuff accumulates, things get dirty. And that's just like, it's not like it's dirty. It's just energy. There's always energy exchange happening in life. So I taught her how to do it. And then I checked in this morning. So this was yesterday morning. Then I went over there and we talked a lot about like self-concept work and what follows I am. Because the more confident you are in yourself, the more confident you are in your abilities to clear, like send spirits away that don't belong, right? So that they can't feed on your energy. So we talked a lot about that. I taught her how to do the clearing. I did it with her, like alongside of her, but because I was like connecting in so I could see what she was seeing. It was really interesting. And then we did the clearing, and I, taught her to start trusting her own intuition and things. So when I checked in today, her mom said she'd slept the best she has in like ever, that she slept in her own room because they were sleeping, like she was sleeping on the living room floor and her dad was sleeping on the couch. And she's like, well, I like sleeping on the floor. I was like, but dad's kind of uncomfortable because he's like sleeping with one eye open. And so she was back in her bed and she did great. So yay for me. No, I mean, yay for her. But I was like excited that I got trusted with that work, and because it's not something I do all the time. Anyway, how is everybody here? I have Regine with 2 questions, and Devry with 1 have already purchased their readings. It might be a quiet day. Who knows? You guys can hear me okay, right? Like this is, just let me know if it gets crackly or anything else, because I have an external mic set up. I mean, they paid me to do it. I didn't do it for free. Like I charged them. Like it's not. So it's I could have said no, but I just also feel like my whole tagline is empowering your journey, right? So like I said to them, I was like, I can easily do the work for you. I was like, but she needs to know how to do this, because like it's not the house that the energy is attracted to, it's her. She's a beacon of light, and there's nothing wrong with what she has. It's just like, let's teach her how to use it to her advantage, right? But yeah, I charged for that. I'm no like I'm not a total like charity. I believe in charity, but I also believe in like energy exchange and paying my own bills and stuff, right? Building my business. Uh I am no Mother Teresa, you know. I'm not married to God. So living in the 3D, you know what I mean? Okay. So sound is back on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm using an external mic. So if you can just tell me if it sounds crackly or anything at any point, let me know. Um, that's that. Okay. So let's see, Regine, are you here, dear? Yes, you are. Do you want to ask a question? I love this water bottle, but the thing that annoys me the most, because you can use it like a sipper or a straw, but the thing that annoys me the most is that my straw always comes out. And I don't. No, true beacon of light doesn't mean you're super positive innocent, because I wouldn't say I'm innocent, but I'm probably a beacon of light. It just means that like so I see spirit, and I'm sort of known for seeing spirit because they know on the other side I see spirit. Hang on, this is something I want to do. I hate that it's mirrored and not whatever, that it's not mirrored. So I never know what I'm doing with my hair. So it's basically like if there's a light on at night in the dark, where do the bugs fly? That kind of a thing. So they're just attracted, and it's not necessarily scary things, but like we talked about, she goes, "Oh, I feel really bad. This guy just, you know, doesn't want to be dead, essentially." And I was like, okay, but this is your experience and your place of existence. And so if it's uncomfortable and you feel uncomfortable, then it's time to send him away, and you're not being mean for doing that. Like it's okay to take up space in your own space. Almost looks like yours. What? I don't know what that means. Hi, Devry. Wait, I don't know what that means. Almost looks like mine. Pink. Oh, your bottle. I just like it really keeps the water cold. I enjoy them. Hi, Larry. Welcome back. Um, okay, I have to tell you that I have enjoyed so much the new abilities with the tarot cards. Oh, I love that. Where do you see you going? Where do I see you going with it? Is it really helping me lately, especially with my healing? Here's the deal. So let's remember this. Our beliefs create our reality. So if you believe something holds power and is giving that to you, then in fact it does become that tool. Sorry, wet hair, do care. Um, so if we believe, right? So if I believe that this is powerful, then in fact it is, right? But if I'm just like, it's just a rock, then in fact it's just a rock, right? Or it can only do things like they do use crystals in energetic things. I think lithium is considered a rock that they mine, right? Um, so that has power, right? But it depends on what power you give it. So like I sometimes I think because I waffle with tarot cards myself, I'm like, maybe it doesn't, like if I just start deciding like these are always giving me the right answers, then in fact they will. Does that make sense? So yes, it's really helping you. I think what it's doing is it's helping you get out of your left brain and really start to like connect to your intuition more. Um, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know that it's a direct connection to helping you with healing, but what they're telling me is that it is helping you in that it's starting to help you really connect back into yourself and trust yourself more and realize like the idea that we are all like there's a spark of light from the divine universe within all of us, and it's starting to help you see that. That's what I believe is happening. Could really use some lipstick, I think. Okay, sorry. This isn't adding much color. And so, you know, uh, right. So, like, whereas, like, so I have a really hard time with the pendulum thing. I don't think that they work for me at all. And I'll tell you why, because I have this sciencey brain that's like, it's just micro movements of your muscles. So I think that if I'm asking through somebody else, it's more possible than if I'm asking whatever, but I prefer somebody using their intuition or using cards. That's just me. Also, same thing with those sticky sticks. You know, those, I don't know what they're called, dowsing wands, maybe, is that what they're called? Where people are like, "Grandpa, does the universe really exist?" That kind of stuff. And then they go whoop, and it's like they're like, no means out, yes means in when they're doing that thing. I have a hard time with those because I'm like micro movements. So I like more proof. I'm pretty much I'm a big skeptic. There's somebody I'm mutuals with on TikTok, and I'm going to use non-gender specific terms so that I don't give this away. And they have a bigger following than I do, and they kind of dabble in self-concept, and also, like, I've seen them do readings before, and I see this person do these readings, and I don't believe that they really believe what they're doing. I also feel like they're doing more cold readings. Like, they're never giving anything very specific. And I can see the way, like, if you'll watch me when I do my reading and I connect in, I'm like, you can see me kind of go off and connect differently. And they're constantly looking around like they're making up a story. So do I think that everybody's capable of intuition? Yes. But I don't believe that they're confident enough. I don't know why I'm rambling about this. So some people totally believe in, like, the pendulums, and I think I mean, I have one. I try all these different little things, but there's I again, I am so skeptical that, like, I wouldn't even do tarot when I first started. Like, that's why I read the way I do, because I was like, no, like, if I'm going to get this, I'm going to get it because it's coming through me. And they're going to give me information. There's no way I could know. Hi, guided by my peeps. Okay, so you said good afternoon, Larry. Sorry. Okay, so that's what I think. I don't think that it's directly helping your health, but I think it's helping you trust in yourself a little bit more, which when you have a better self-concept, when you feel better about yourself, I really do believe that starts to heal you. What other questions do you have, Regine? And then, unless you want to wait, and then Devry, if you want to go. Oh, where do I see you going with it? Hang on. Oh, shoot, my rock is upstairs. We're going to use a different rock today. Use this one. This is supposedly a Canadian amethyst, which only exists in Canada. I think it's like something to do with the number 23 in it too, and I don't remember what it is, but that's that. Do you know what? It's funny. I feel like you're going to still use them, but I also feel like you're going to graduate to something a little bit different. Like, do you know what human design is? Because it's either going to be something like human design or doing astrology charts. Because I keep seeing, I think it might be more human design, because I'm seeing you writing with pencil and paper. Do you know what human design is? Where it's got like the human body, and then it's got the triangles and the circles, and I don't like. Just look it up. It's interesting. It's a little more complicated and like a little more, I mean, not that tarot is not complicated, but it's kind of the ways, it's just different. It's just a different modality. But I feel like you'll move more towards doing something like that, kind of looking at those things. I'm always making sure, like moving slow to see if I'm touching the right side of my head. There. Just don't like it slick to my. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Whatever. Okay. Do you have another question? You want a general reading? Okay. The first thing I got, this is interesting. Because I just asked, what do you need to know in this moment? But the first thing I got was a feeling like a buzzing in my right ear or a ringing in my right ear. I don't feel like this is like you're having actual ringing in your ear. And I'm definitely not one of those people. I used to say these things, but now I'm kind of like, these aren't ascension symptoms. These are just physical things. Enough of us are off in our, metabolic status and everything else percentage wise. That's probably what's going on. But I actually feel like it's just a signal to me. And I don't think that you're experiencing this way. So let me continue to ramble. I think it's just a signal to me that you're actually opening up your clairaudience, but I feel like you're connecting with your family as opposed to with your guides. Your guides will come later and a little bit more concrete information with that will come through in about 6 to 9 months. But I very much feel you connecting with a grandmother energy. And the reason why I feel like you're connecting this way over your guides first is a sense of comfort and a sense of also not betraying your religious upbringing. Even though you're working on with tarot cards and everything else, I still feel that like deep ingrained belief system of like, I feel like it's okay to connect with grandma over these guides. I also feel like it almost knocked you off your feet in a sense. Like, so I feel like, that feeling if you stand up too quickly, you get a little dizzy. It's that feeling. Like I felt my ear and then I just felt like I had to catch myself. I don't know if that resonates. It did knock you off of your feet. Okay. So this did in fact happen. Okay. Sometimes to get your attention, they have to go a little bit bigger than they had been. So it might have been a little bit more subtle in the past, and probably looking back, you were like, oh, that's what that was. I was just ignoring it. Sometimes they'll do something a little bit bigger to get you to pay attention, and then they'll scale it back. So don't feel like every time that you do this, I think daddy might be home. No. Yeah, I think they just drove up. Look, hang on. Let me see. Because the ring just went off. Yeah, they just pulled up. So you're not alone anymore.
Oh, Mom.
What's up? Did you forget? Uh-oh.
And how many more minutes is it gonna take?
I just started, lady.
Oh, Mom.
Yes.
Look how short my nails are.
Oh my goodness, did you trim them?
No.
Oh, filed them? Fabulous. I love you. Okay, turning the heater on. So I feel like it's going to scale back a little bit. I don't know if that resonates with you, but meaning like the intensity of it. This happened to me when I knew that I should have been switching out, so going back to nursing school. So I originally went to school for nursing, and then I dropped out and changed my major to healthcare administration because I was like, I do not want to study that much. And I was very close. I was a semester away from starting my year-long internship. And like I had kind of felt the tug to like, oh, I really want to do nursing. It's really much more interesting. And then I literally heard like a loud booming man's voice out of my ear. You don't want it to scale back. So then it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to scale back. I'm just letting you know, like, it doesn't have to knock you off your feet every time, too. So those things are really happening for you. You're not crazy. You're not insane. Even when I talked to the little girl yesterday, I was like, oh, like I was saying, because the dad was like, well, and I said, when I was little, I would see like what looked like a gallery full of like shadow outline people in my room. And it scared me, but I always, because I was so sciencey, I'd be like, oh, it's just my eyes adjusting to the dark, which I don't know how many of you people experience that. Apparently not everybody does. She was like, oh my God, that's just what happens to me. And then I said, and have you ever seen those little black things that have the red beady eyes? And she's like, oh my God, yes. And I was like, yeah, they're annoying, but you can make them like when you're little, like they might feel scary. I was like, but they're more annoying than anything, and you can send them away. You just have to be a little more persistent with that. So lots of interesting things can happen. So I think this is happening for you. You can have it increase or get stronger at it. And you can set boundaries too. Like if it feels like it's somebody that's uncomfortable, you just this is my space of existence. And like, I'm not comfortable with this communication. So it doesn't mean you have to totally shut down all communication. You can just shut it down with that individual spirit. Okay. I guess that's important for you to know right now. Okay, Devery, are you here, my dear? I just ate and I'm hungry again. Holy cow. As you know, I know. Okay, wait. I want to say this first, though, because you said it didn't come through for you. I want to say this. I want everybody to know this because I did say she would get hired and she did get offered the job. It turned out to be a little sketchy, but she did get offered the job. So I was right about that. Okay. Okay, so will anything else come along more towards what I can do, or will the rest of this year get better? I just need hope and everything will turn around for me. You're welcome. So the first thing I heard right away was Fiverr. So I don't know if you've gone on there to see if there are jobs that you can pick up and do, like even just as freelance type work. That might be an option for you because I did hear that. I also feel like doing like, what do they call it? A virtual assistant work. And it feels like you may be doing like some kind of like that and that, the Fiverr and that, because I know that you're constrained by transportation issues. I also just keep hearing that Peter Gabriel song. It's Don't Give Up. I know I sound like a completely broken record when I say this, but it is also just like, as much as you can, pay a lot of attention to your mental diet. So this to me means like spending a lot of time listening to, even if you're just listening to like affirmations and listening to, like when you wake up in the morning, pay attention to the first thoughts in your mind. Like, what are the very first thoughts in your mind? And what are you like watching or listening to? Like for a while, just listen to stuff that's like where they're teaching about law of assumption and mindset stuff. Like really kind of just take that stuff in. And I only say it because it feels like it's really important for you to do that. I know it's not an easy thing to do what I'm asking. And I know it's like hard when you're like, I don't believe in it. or it doesn't work for me. But it's sort of like that thing of like, and when you say it doesn't work for me, then that's what you manifest is not working for you. And I'm not trying to be completely out of touch. Like, I know what it is to be in a spot where you feel like nothing is working for you and everything's just sort of like falling apart and it's like nothing ever works out. And like, I know that feeling, but I also am on the other side of this part. And I'm like, this is actually pretty incredible. When I started really digging into the law of assumption and literally like where it's like, our beliefs do create a reality. And even just seeing things like flip around on a very quick, small, minute level. So it's like, I do feel things are going to happen. I feel like maybe checking out Fiverr because I heard Fiverr. And then it's the feeling of doing, again, like a virtual online assistant. So it may not be, it's the feeling of, it may not be the exact dream job that you want, but it feels like it's giving you purpose, like a feeling of like, okay, I am doing this. I am, and having money come in. And I hope you're not disappointed hearing that. And I actually feel like there's stuff on Fiverr you could do pretty quickly. And I don't know why. I have no idea. I've looked on Fiverr briefly, but for things like just to see, I think it was something to do with computer stuff. I don't know. I see you're quiet. So it's not exactly what you want to hear, and I'm sorry about that. All right, well, that's all I have in the queue for today. So if anybody else wants a question, or if you just want to start some general readings, we can do, I mean, like meaning what's going on in the universe kind of questions, not for yourselves. I'm happy to do that. Anyone? Anyone at all? If you're going to be silent, I need to go because I don't have anything to chat about. I haven't changed my stance on what I see coming for the election. I still see Trump not being in it. So that doesn't change. Remember how, like I had said, I think this was even during the last election, you were still watching, you were watching me back then. I saw, it like doesn't change. And the more I read it, the more I just feel like I'm pushing for something. So I don't see it being Trump. I don't really even see it being Biden. I don't know who it is. It's not a Republican though. I have to say that. McKeegan. So I have said since the beginning, the United States is going to end up on the wrong side of this Palestine thing. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, because there's so many politicians on both sides bought out by AIPAC. I do feel like people will be called to task as war criminals. Maybe that's part of what's going to happen to Biden. I don't know. Again, this is not like a anti-Semitism thing. This is just like what Israel is doing is wrong. And I said from the very beginning, this is going to get a lot worse. I don't feel like it's going to turn into World War III because, quite frankly, if it was going to, it would have already done that. So if you disagree with me and you think Israel isn't, like whatever, but I have a hard time believing the story of like they have our hostages, so we have to like flatten entire cities and bomb schools and like that doesn't make sense to me. Like, especially given the fact that like they have highly trained, specialized weapons and soldiers and everything else. So like the stories don't line up for me. They just don't line up for me. Hi, Joelle. Um, it is colonization. It's always been about most of the things that happen like this, I have found are really a lot about land deals and real estate. And because the oil that's on in the, just off the coast, I mean, it's a good amount, but it's only like, I don't know, it's in the billions of what it's worth. It's not that much money. I mean, it's a lot of money, but like in the grand scheme of things, that's not enough to draw someone. That to me is just like a bonus. Hi, Claudina. Welcome. So that's what that feels like to me. Any bad hurricanes in Florida this year? I feel like there's going to be one. And I feel like it's going to hit not on the Gulf side, on the Atlantic side. But it's interesting because they're showing me it coming in and then like going out. So I don't feel like it goes across or goes up. I feel like it like comes in and then goes back out into the Atlantic and dissipates. I feel like there'll be another one, but not as bad, that'll come up the East Coast. But like, well, for like between, I don't know, maybe around North Carolina. I'm not really great. I want to see where I'm looking at. Like I feel like it'll affect yeah, I'm thinking like coming in around the Virginia area. So it might affect like South Jersey. Do I think Trump will win his appeal? I think that stuff is going to be embroiled a little bit in the courts for a little bit. I don't feel like he'll win his appeal. But I also feel like it's going to be tied up a little bit. I feel like something is going to happen with the Supreme Court justices. There's going to be a shuffle of who's there. That's what I feel. And so by the time it gets there, it's not going to really help him. So I also feel by 2028, they're going to somehow implement a code of ethics for the Supreme Court justices because there isn't one yet. I mean, Yes, and we can also manifest differently. He's not going to always get away with all of it. Honestly, he's got so many health issues coming up for him. And if you look at, I really think you should follow like Astro Lori. She's really great. She's on TikTok, but she also has a podcast. Um, but she's like, she really looks at the political stuff, and she's like, his chart does not look good for him. So I don't know. I try not to give too much energy to him. Is Kamala still going to be the vice president? I don't think so. And I don't know why. Again, I don't know. I don't understand. I'm not really sure I understand how this is working out, because it just, again, it felt like this feeling of somebody else stepping in to do, like, to run as a Democratic candidate and winning. So I just try. I honestly, I've stopped looking at a lot of the politics. I don't even see many campaigns coming up for me. Like, it's not that I don't care, and it's not that I'm not going to vote. It's just that I'm very disappointed. Like, I'm so disappointed with Cory Booker. I'm so disappointed with all of the people that are, like, to me, it's just so obvious now. So I don't know. You can't stand Kamala? I mean, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting when, like, Drew Barrymore was asking her to be the mom of the United States. It's like, ew, like, that woman she worked hard. Like, she studied hard. Don't relegate her to that position. Not that there's anything, like, it's not a woman's job to mother other people. It's not a job for you to take on. Like, she has a different role, and you've never asked a male politician to parent the the United States. Like, that's just weird. Anything on crypto? I do feel like it'll be more mainstream, but as much as people are saying, like, oh, we're totally going to shift, you'll hear like conspiracy theorists, but they've been saying this for so long that, like, the currency is going to reset and we're going to shift over to a whole new thing, and the banks are going to be shifting over to a whole new thing, a new fiat, blah blah blah, like, not going by the dollar. I don't fully see that happening. I do see it becoming more mainstream, but I don't see that fully happening, like losing the dollar and the value of the dollar, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I know we're not gold backed right now, but I feel like we might move to something like the dollar being backed by something physical. And I don't know what that is. Oh, Cardano or Solano. Someone I used to follow said that the oil deal with the Saudis falls flat, and our flat currency makes our money worthless. Listen, I think they're all in cahoots. And I think maybe this is growing up, like, maybe this is in my genetic makeup, since, like, my grandfather was in not in not in a stand-up business. And, like, my mom says, like, she's like, I don't trust anything. I just think that there's a little more charades than that are going on than people want to believe. And I think that more of our governments and such are in cahoots. And some things are played out one way to appear one way to create propaganda. And that's what I'll say about that. Digital currency is here. This is what is so silly about everybody being like, oh, it's here. Like, how, I mean, I rarely actually use physical money. I write a check very rarely. It happens digitally already from your bank to bank. So that's already happening. they're just using different forms of currency now. So like I think when I watch some of those people say those things like the money's going to exchange, and I've been hearing about that for years. I actually had to cut some guy off who he was great at readings, but he was also like got a little quirky and weird, and he was like he became he was really mean to me. He was this older man, and I was like, get the fuck out of here, like done blocking you. But he was like, this is all gonna happen, and like it was super fear-based weird stuff, and anything that's fear-based, I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like most stuff is that stuff just feels like it's to get views, to get likes, to have people watch you, to garner attention, like that a lot of those people are saying, and they're like, oh, I'm trying to save you. It's like you've been saying this shit for years. Like, come on. I've never had to see the world. I've never even, I mean, I probably could see 2100 because we're thinking of when you're like, how far can you see it? Time is not linear, but in that sense, you think, oh, that's really far out because that you're thinking in the sense of like time is linear, but time isn't linear. It's all happening at once. So technically you could see any time frame, right? I've never questioned about 2100. Maybe I should. That'd be interesting, right? So I usually just ask them to show me stuff. And then, so sometimes I'll get like 2036, things like that. 2100. And I guess I've never even asked that far out because my kids aren't even going to be alive in 2100. So, I mean, I guess they could be. They'll be in their 90s. I don't think AI like Rosie the robot will be doing the cleaning and things like that, but I feel like they're actually going to have, like, as I'm watching, it's like, there are going to be smaller homes. Like most people's homes are going to be smaller. Like everything is simplified. So there's not I just feel like it's simple, like not like it's not the gluttony that people have now in the sense of like consumerism. Like that's not what things will be like then. They'll have better filtration systems for the air though, because I feel like it's almost like sucks the dust out. So I think past life healings are really valuable because, again, when you're connecting with a past life, you're getting the echoes of a parallel life. So my sense is that for me, like when I was having a hard time getting pregnant, I connected with a couple of other lifetimes where I lost children. When I had those experiences, I got pregnant almost immediately. And I did this thing where it was like, it's okay to be a mom. It's okay not to be a mom. I did this like sort of like neutralizing the energy. I also experienced a period where I was like really nervous about flying and I couldn't figure out why, because I grew up, going across the country to visit I lived in Wisconsin and I would get on a plane and go visit my mom at 14 years old, flying by myself. So I was never really afraid of flying. And then in my mid to late 20s, I started getting anxiety around flying. And this was well after, because 9/11 happened. So it was probably around 27, 28 that I started getting anxiety around flying. And I was 22 when 9/11 happened. Is that right? Maybe just turned 23. Just turned 23. And so it was like, it wouldn't have correlated with seeing that, right? And then I kept having recurring dreams of being on essentially like a UFO. And like because I was standing there, I was standing, like, think of it like as in, think of it like when you see Star Trek, not Star Wars, Star Trek, and they're like standing and there's like the whatever, it's like a wide open area. And we were flying alongside what looked like a canyon. We were in a canyon because I saw like a wall like the Grand Canyon, but it was felt bigger than that. And all of a sudden, like I kept seeing us like knowing that we were going to crash into the wall of it. And I'd wake up. And then eventually when I like let myself crash into it, like I'd see the crash happen. I wasn't manning the aircraft. I was just standing there. Everything went black. And then I woke up and like, then I wasn't afraid of flying anymore. Like there was no anxiety around it, nothing. So it was interesting. I don't know how many lifetimes we have lived. I mean, the reality is like, I mean, maybe we're all just the same, literally the same person. I had that thought for a long time. And then someone said it on here one time and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because that's what I've been thinking about. Like, so like if we all contain the divine spark of the universe, right? And like maybe we're just experiencing it from all different places, like from all different whatever. Maybe we're not really like, when we say like we're all one, maybe that's really what it is. I don't know. I don't know how many I've experienced. I know I've experienced more than that. I feel like most of my lifetimes have been as a female though. I could be wrong. I think the cool stuff about like thinking about life in this way is that like you don't really need an answer. It's just interesting to think about the possibilities. And who knows? I won't know until I'm cuckoo, over there. I'm not cuckoo, but over on the other side, if I'm right or not. So it's fun to ponder. Speaking of past lives, I had a vision of one from maybe Lemuria Thursday night. It was absolutely intense. So tell us about it. Oh, okay. Also somehow connected with source in its entirety. I did that when I was a kid and I asked what the secret to the universe was. And then I woke up and forgot. They told me just like how Moses was given stone tablets. I was given sage tablets. No idea what that means. I don't know. It's like I'll connect with different things. I don't. And I think that sometimes it's part of like, I think a big part of the, oh, okay. Sorry. Someone had purchased a reading earlier and I was like, can you define this? And then I'll answer it. And then, anyway, sorry. I think that like a big part of me, like going through a lot of like my own journey was up when I first started. And I think this happens for a lot of people, doing a lot of the meditation and doing a lot of the intuitive work was really about searching for, like getting a psychic reading, was searching for the answers because I didn't trust myself enough. I was always looking for something outside of me to validate my wants, needs, and desires. And that like, if that desire came up that I had, then it was meant to be and I was allowed to have it and really want it. Or I was, like when people say if it's meant to be, it'll be yours. But I don't believe that so much anymore. So now if I get a reading, I'm looking for it to more to be like, if somebody says something opposite, not that that's true, but like, oh, then I have a belief system in here somewhere that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. So it's more as I can't think of the word, a compass rather than a like, if I'm allowed to have it. It's funny when you said sage is for cleansing, so it might was something for cleaning a space. Sage is also really for spirit, but also I thought, oh, like the sage, like wise old sage advice, the old sage, like meaning the old person who with wisdom. So the wisdom tablets is kind of what I was thinking. So what I'm saying is I've gotten to this point when I said like, oh, I used to always be looking outside of myself to give me permission. And now I'm sort of at this spot where I'm really doing a lot of the law of assumption work. And so now I use it in a different way. And I really like teaching others about it, showing you that it's like, it's normal. You don't have to be totally out there and woo woo to have these connections. You can, be the normal everyday life and really connect in, and then see how incredibly powerful you are as an individual. We all are as individuals, and we are as a collective. Anyone? Share? Well, also, I don't think we're on another planet in 2100. Oh, you're welcome. I'm saying this because if somebody watches it back, the 3 people that watch me, I'm kidding, beyond this live reading. I'm kidding. Claudina said, I appreciate that about you. You were so encouraging in our journey. I just think that everybody, like, so with this little girl that I did at the clearing at her house, I don't know if you heard this part, Claudina, but I did a clearing yesterday at somebody's house. But really, what I did is I told the mom, I said, I'm going to teach your daughter how to do this work because she needs to know. And there's no reason that, like she should be empowered and understand how to use her abilities. But different dimensions. Wait, what's different dimensions? You said we. Yeah, I mean, not even just different dimensions. We are powerful beings as a collective in this dimension, like in every moment. Oh, different dimension. I know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we're always you're sort of always doing different things. Like, there will still be a collective that's here. Like, it's not this idea that like the 5D and this whole new, we all move to a totally different, like, really think about what infinite is. Like, pick a number and add 1, pick a number and add 1. Like, infinite means infinite. It's something our brains could not even begin to understand and encompass. So when I say infinite, like, there's already infinite. You're all already existing in different dimensions. Like, your consciousness, like, you think, oh, this is all there is, but your consciousness is capable of being in multiple places at once. For whatever reason, when we experience this one, we're only able to be aware of this one that we're in. Except, like I was telling this family yesterday, I think I've experienced dimensional overlaps before. And I often think that some of the things that people are experiencing when they're thinking they're experiencing, like hearing somebody walking or talking around, walking around their house or talking, can even be energetic overlaps from their own family members that are still alive, but that are existing in this other experience. I do think there's aliens among us. Absolutely. I mean, and I also think that, like, the reason why you don't fully notice them isn't because they're morphing or changing. Like, when you hear people talking about, like, oh, I've seen somebody shapeshift, I don't think they're actually shifting shapes. I think they're manipulating your mind, because that's much easier to do. So, like, I think, who's that guy from Blink 182 who's now like working with the government? And, I mean, could be a plant, whatever. Anyway, he said, oh, I saw somebody shapeshift. And there's a couple other people that have talked about it that are famous people, and I can't remember. Like, my names are slipping my mind, but it's like, I think that they're really just manipulating your mind. Lately, you've heard people talking about, but can't quite hear what is said. Oh, your clear audience is opening up. So when I first started working with my clairaudience, like, I mean, I've always kind of had it, but when I really first started intentionally wanting to open it up and hear with it, it would sound like people were like really fast. And like, I couldn't really just be patient with it. You can ask them to slow it down. You can ask them to clarify, repeat it. It'll start like getting more and more clear. It's just a matter of practice. That's all. Just like with anything. How can we remember our dreams? I dream every night and I feel like I go to a different dimension. Sometimes I set the intention. It's interesting. I always feel like I'll remember the ones I need to remember. And that if I'm in other dimensions and I'm doing work, so maybe I just don't need to remember because it's too much for my brain to hold on to. But like a lot of my prophetic dreams, I'll remember, which is interesting. So, and the ones that I have when they're prophetic, it's weird because it seems weird in the dream. And then when I have it happen in the moment, I'm like, oh, that's why it was weird. And like I had a dream. This one was very interesting. And this was well before my uncle actually died. But I had a dream that I was like in my grandmother's house and I forgot that he had moved in so that it wouldn't look exactly like her house. But so I was in my grandmother's house and I was walking around and it was like she had changed the flooring. My grandmother she loved parquet flooring. So in every house she lived in, she always made sure she got parquet flooring put in. And it was weird. It was weird. Like it was like a cheap version of Saltillo tile. Like I don't know if you know what Saltillo tile is, but it's like really big in like New Mexico and the Southwest. And I guess some areas in California. But my grandmother's house had this Saltillo tile in it, but it was like cheap looking. It wasn't like the nice big tiles and it wasn't finished well. And then it had like, my grandmother only ever had, so this was in the version when I was walking around it. My grandmother only ever had like a 13-inch television. She did not ever have a big TV. And I was probably in middle school before she even got a color television. We watched the Golden Girls on these tiny little TVs. She actually had a really tiny one, like maybe like it was so tiny in her kitchen for a long time. But she only ever had this other one, and it was on a rollout cart. And then like for some reason in this house that I was walking through, I saw like a big TV like in the kitchen, which was weird. Like it wasn't where she would have normally had it. And then there was like a big like there was like camping chairs and there was like a weird ugly couch. Like my grandmother had the furniture that was in my great grandmother's house. Like they lived up here in New York, and they had like all the antique furniture, and like it was very pretty, not very comfortable, but pretty. And it was just like nice. My grandmother's house was nice. And like this house, it was just like weird. It was weird. It was her house, but it was weird. So I'm like walking around it. But then there was a point where I'm like looking in the closet at some of her stuff, but I can't fully look at it. And I couldn't figure out why can't I turn to see what I want to see? And then when my uncle died, I had to reach out to his daughter, who he was estranged from, and let her know that he died and that he left her inheritance. And I didn't want her mom to find out about it because they're estranged. Crazy family. And so she was actually doing WhatsApp with me and showing me the house. And that's what my dream was. So when I say like I have prophetic dreams and it's like I can't really figure out why is it weird or whatever. And like my uncle had horrible decorating taste and he ruined my grandmother's house. Anyway, it was interesting. So when you're having these dreams, the ones that you can remember, especially I think that you'll probably, Claudina, have some more prophetic dreams. Those are the ones you'll remember. And the other ones that are interdimensional, like there was one I had where I was just basically the reason I was taken to a totally different, like almost like Star Wars type dimension where it was like there was a war being fought. It was like desert type area. And I was standing back. I was like, should I move so they don't see me? And my guide was with me. And my guide's like, no, they can't see you. It's like when they meaning people must visit from other dimensions, can't be seen. It's like you're here, but you're not really here. I have this really old toy. It's an owl in the shape of a bowling pin. It's in English, Spanish. Hang on. But you can remember everything. So then when you wake up, as soon as you wake up, write them down or dictate them on your phone, because otherwise it will start to slip out. A learning tool, I call it the magic owl. I use it in readings. I press the button and get a word, and I can ask it questions, and they totally resonate with the person I'm reading for myself. Is that a form of clairaudient training for my guides? No, I think that's just using a divination tool. Clairaudience isn't always a voice outside of your head, and it isn't always a different voice inside your head. Sometimes it feels like your own thoughts. The difference is it's like here and gone. It's not repetitive. And you will forget it if you don't write it down. I mean, it's like your intuition is like rapid and not, it's like you'll forget it if you don't write stuff down. And it's like when you ask a question, it's like you'll get it. It's interesting because it's not always like when I thought clairaudience, I always thought clairaudience was like voices outside of your head, and it is, but it's not limited to that. The other thing is like when you've set the intention that this is how this tool works and this is what it's capable of, then in fact it will be capable of that. Because I could easily say like, oh, that's just a kid's toy, and like it wouldn't work, right? It's like when you watch people, have you ever watched people do the readings and they're like, they'll make anything a validation. They're like, I just burped. That's a validation. I'm like, come on. You do dream a lot. It's just your brain will only remember what's necessary. But you will always dream. And someone once said, like, it could be a vitamin D issue that you're not fully remembering them or you're not really fully connecting with them. So take that with a grain of salt. I don't 100% know. I know that I'm taking vitamin D. I'm sleeping better. Like a whole lot better. Hi, Julia. You're not missing anything. We're just kind of chatting about random stuff like aliens and dreams. I think they say something like 70% of the population is vitamin D deficient. But I'm really and truly usually like around like, probably TMI for any of the men here, but like in the week before my period, there'll be a night or two before where I literally like I could have insomnia. And then now I just started taking the vitamin D like 3 weeks ago. So did not have that issue. I did have a little bit of anxiety still, but not not lack of sleep. So that was like really nice because it's really hard to not sleep and then it'd be like have to be joyful mom, patient, etc., etc. Your daughter got taken by aliens yesterday morning when I fell back asleep. It was so weird. And instead of her being 17, she was 8 again. Oh, shoot. I forgot to. Well, I mean, I think that was much more metaphorical than aliens actually taking your daughter. Though, hey, anything's possible, right? I won't say never. Never always turns around and kicks you in the butt. I saw something today. I get this like mixed bag of stuff on my feeds for like my algorithm. Um, like randomly TikTok will be like, I think that you need to see some really weird evangelical Christian church service. And I'm like, I think like I automatically go into those people and block them because I'm like, stop showing me this stuff. Like stop like and it'll be like, okay, it'll be fine. I won't get anything for a while. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, stop it, TikTok. Like this is not me. I am not that audience. Like I believe in a lot of weird stuff, but that's not it. Like, something came across my thing today, and I mean, I probably get some of these because I'll watch them because I'm like, let's see what kind of crazy shit they come up with today. This one was interesting. It was like Buzz Aldrin. There's some woman, and I can't remember her name, who does like alien research. She has like reddish hair and glasses, and she's a little bit older, maybe late 60s, early 70s. And if she's not, that's what she looks like to me. But she was talking to some guy who supposedly like he said he was Buzz Aldrin's mom was his like adoptive mom. I don't even know. Like it seems a little weird, but he was talking to Buzz Aldrin, and Buzz Aldrin supposedly went down to Antarctica. And when they got these guys back from Antarctica, I don't even know if this shit's real. Like I didn't look it up to be like research it. I was like, well, that's an interesting story. And of course they didn't like tell, like you couldn't find the clip of like the full thing, and they didn't say what interview it was from or how you could find it. So, you know, take it what it's worth. But he's like, they were all like basically had like post-traumatic stress, like not psychoses, but like couldn't talk, whatever. And supposedly they saw something really evil. Like scaly looking things that were mind altering. Could it be? Sure. Like, am I going to go like, that's real? No. But it's a neat story. So I just always think, even with all of this, like, you don't have to take everything at like, just because I said it, that it's all 100%. I mean, it's just the way I experience life, and everything is really about your own experience. And if it doesn't resonate with you, leave it alone. If it does, fabulous. But certainly I'm just somebody who's happy to share my experiences and my opinions, and that's all they are. Like if you want to like dive into that world with me, great. But if you don't want to, I still think you're a fabulous person. It may be interesting, or it may just me be rambling. I don't know. I might have regrets later and be like, what was I saying? I need to like shut that down. Like the what do they call them? Ruminating thoughts. Oh my God. I get ruminating thoughts, especially like after I do in-person events. I'm always like, oh my God. So I have to work on that for affirmations. Like, oh, I shouldn't have talked so much, or like, I shouldn't have said all that. I probably freaked everybody out. Yeah. Or like, they're definitely going to think I'm a weirdo. Like, I'm not the person they actually want to hang out with. Like, we paid you for your services. Please leave. Like, yeah. That's me. You thought it was just you that you overshare. I've gotten better about oversharing. Like I try not to trauma dump on anybody anymore. I used to do that. Oh geez. Cause I guess I thought like if I shared this like that, I don't fucking know. I don't know. Now I just like, I get really excited when people ask me questions about like, the psychic world or whatever. And sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I just drone on, and, probably more than people really want to know. I have to figure out abbreviated versions for people because neurotypicals don't really want to talk about. Like, yeah. Now you sound fine to me. You are not the only one who talks about this stuff. I know I'm not the only one, but when you listen to some people talk about it, you're like, holy shit, did they like what happened? Did they take something? Did they have a bad trip? Did they, like, what happened? You're all still here for it. Thank God. My little crew. I think there was like 12 people on last week, and my friend texted me afterwards who was on here too. And she's like, I was so excited to see so many people there. There was a point on here when I'd get like 50 people, but that was when I was doing everything for free. And you know what? And I remember this one woman named Rachel, and she was like, I'll always follow you. In the minute I was like, okay, I'm going to start charging a little bit for the readings. It was like, hasta la vista, baby. Like, see you later. No longer interested. How dare you charge for your energy? Listen, when people are always shocked, I think when oh, there you are, Rothka. People are always shocked when they'll be like, oh, this is Marie. I'm like, sounds great. Sounds fair. Like, I don't try to heckle anybody, or because I think, well, you're just charging what you're worth. I mean, I know there's some people who have probably taken advantage of me because of that. But I always trust that shit comes back to them anyway. So, but especially women are usually shocked because I'm like, I believe you that you're worth what you're asking. The woman that I hired to work on marketing for me, I was like, these are incredibly fair. Like, no problem. She's like, she's giving me a discount because she knows me, but like, I'm like, this is incredibly fair. Like, absolutely. And I told her if I make the money that I want to make, I will ask her to keep working for me. So I know that I have to do work too, but like, she's really helping me. So she's not just doing my website design, like she's going to do some of my social media for me and stuff too. So you'll see other stuff coming out. And if it brings in the SEO and the audience that I want, then, and the clients that I want, because let's be honest, we all want to make some money, right? So anywho, like, I'm working on an online course that you'll do like a self-guided part of it, but then there's going to be an attached thing to it where I'll have office hours, we're calling them, I think, roughing out. And so then you'll actually get like lifetime, basically, access to that. I think I'm not sure if I'm going to limit it, but I think I'm going to leave it at lifetime. I don't know. We'll see. Where you can come in and join, like, kind of like Claudina, kind of like when we did the psychic development circle, where you get to do practice. We'll do focus on a different thing every 2 weeks and that kind of a thing. So we will see. So anyway, that's one thing I'm working on. So, hey, Rothka, are you here? That's okay that you missed the last one. I tried to make it work and adjust it, but it just wasn't meant to be. And I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful. Would you have you paid for a question even though I was done? But what do you want to know? Yeah, I've been done for the private readings for a while. That's okay. I'll forgive you this once, never again. What questions do you have? Now I have to pull out my rocks. I forgot my other rocks are in my purse. What's your question? My one daughter is so cute. My little one, she was like, why are you wearing a dress, Mommy? And I said, because I don't have any other shirts that are clean that look nice. She goes, oh, I have a very limited wardrobe. And then she's like, could I get dressed like that? And I'm like, well, this is like a few years old. And I was like, well, I don't know. I go, you know what we can do? There are places where you can get same dresses as little girls. So I probably will do that. She really wants to have like some of the same outfits. Fine. But I said, well, we could go and buy material and like make dresses that match if you want. You know how to make dresses with your hands? And I said, well, with a machine, but yes. She goes, that's the same thing. Okay. I have a friend I'm worried about. Can you tell me her first name? Is she going to be okay? I'm curious, worried about how we'll be after this. Okay, different with one another. Can you just tell me her first name, please? I don't know if you can see my sign there. Oh, it's backwards here, but when I did TikTok, it was the right way. Because everybody kept giving me their names. I'm like, stop giving me your names on here. I don't care. Well, other readers, I'm like, I'm not other readers. I am different than other readers. So Ralphka, give me her first name, please. If you want to text it, that's fine if you don't feel comfortable on here. Oh, got it. Okay. It's interesting when I'm tapping into her energy, I feel like a lot of pressure in my head. Did they start her on lithium? Because I heard lithium. Okay is relative, meaning I feel like she's going to have a lot of ups and downs. I don't know that she's ever going to have well, she's on her meds and she's doing great, because I really do feel like it's going to be a fight for her. And I feel like at a point in a couple months, I feel like she's going to have a setback, because I feel like maybe she's not going to like the meds she's necessarily on, because I feel like they're going to flatten her experience in life. She's not going to like that. So I feel like that causes a need to readjust or shift the medication. Yeah, we were just chatting, Claudine, and my reading hour's over. Okay, so I feel like okay is relative in the sense that like it's going to be a bit of a, like, her life is going to be a lot of ups and downs. I don't feel like I don't know that you're yes, I do. I don't feel like you're going to be friends. I feel like there's going to be, for a very, 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 very long time, anger, resentment, even paranoia about you. But here's the thing. As much as that sucks, you've also placed her in the system to be, to get the help that she needs. So like, I do feel like she's going to have like this period where she's going to feel flat. She's not going to want her medications, but it's like, she's always going to be able to get help now because she's sort of in the system. I don't think that you're a bad person for doing what you did. And I mean, you're not. That's not even about like, nobody does that unless they sort of like, nobody does a wellness check and like does all that kind of stuff unless they feel like really forced to do that. So it is a terrible position to be in. So I had an experience. I'll just probably tell it to you too much. My one sister has very, very bad mental health issues. I have not been in contact with her since, like, the last time I talked to her was my 40th birthday. And it was interesting. She knew it was my birthday. She never actually wished me a happy birthday, but that's, her. So she has sent lots of emails, and she's even posted things on social media where people have like come and found me and made comments like, and then deleted the comments, but I could still see what they were saying. You know, like all kinds of very unstable things. And emails, phone calls, all kinds of harassing stuff. And there was a point where she was being evicted. Well, no, this was before. Was this before this? Let me think. Oh no, this actually. So there was so many of them, and it was so much. It was constant text messages, phone calls. Like it was not stopping. I went to my police department in my town, and I talked to somebody because I said I need a restraining order. Like I don't know what else to do. I've asked her. I've sent emails. Like I literally do not know what else to do here. And I sat with this police officer who was so nice to talk to me for as long as he did, and kind of he actually could relate because there was somebody that he knew that had these issues. And I just said, I just handed him a stack of emails. I go, this is just the emails. There's text messages, there's phone calls. Like, I don't, and he goes, he's like, what? Like, he was looking, he was like, holy shit. He's like, you have enough for a restraining order. You could go down to Newark right now and get your restraining order. And they would contact the police in Chicago, and they would serve this. But what would happen is she would immediately contact you and break that restraining order. And then she would get arrested. And I was like, she's not a criminal. She needs mental help, but I can't get it for her. So we ended up doing a wellness check, and she ended up going down to her doorman and threatening to kill him. And then the police came, and they ended up going through the eviction process, which was still several months out. But nobody took her in for a 5150 hold. So then I was on the phone with like the police department there. I was like, why the fuck would you not take her in? Like, that's a threat to somebody else or a threat to themselves. And they're like, well, and I was like, this is what your statute says. Like, they didn't want to do the job that they were given because they didn't want to do all the paperwork at 2:00 in the morning. So then it goes through the eviction process. My aunt was listed as her emergency person. And why am I telling this? Because this is not easy. You see a lot of people say, like, why doesn't their loved one help them? And then as a person who's trying to get them help, you feel like you're a horrible piece of crap. So then when they were going through that process, I was finally talking to her manager. I was like, I don't know if she's mentally unhealthy, because I just thought she was just doing all this stuff to us. Like, I had no idea how the outside world viewed her. And they're like, oh no, we know. Still didn't get the help that she needed. It took a couple more issues. I don't know. Like I've sort of, because I've like had to completely block her and cut her off because it's for my own mental sanity and for my children and everything else. It's not easy. It's not an easy decision. And you sort of come to this point where, like I said, I know she's in the system now, so at least she will get help somewhere. Like, she's not just this, because also, like, when someone's in the state of Illinois, like, you have to physically be there in order to get them committed. And like, I can't just pick up and go there. And my mom's older. She can't just pick up her life and go there. And so it became a very constrained situation. And my aunt had a stroke, so she couldn't really take care of it. Like, it was just a lot. So the point is like, I don't feel like she's going to like you anymore. I don't feel like there's going to be any trust there. And that's okay. It's very heartbreaking. And it's not like the thing is like, I don't hate her. I don't wish ill will on her. I want good things to happen for her, but I also cannot take her on because it's just too much. And the thing about when she's one of the closest people you're with right now. Um, Love doesn't always look like the way we want it to, right? Love sometimes looks like setting boundaries and getting people help when they, really, really need it. And it may mean that they don't really, that they see us as the enemy then. I do think it's permanent. I have to be honest because I feel like she's going to be, um, maybe in a few years you'll have a conversation about it, but I still feel like there's going to be a level of mistrust, but it's not because I don't know. I think there's more going on than what there's that there. I just think it's like I don't think it's like schizophrenia. I definitely feel like bipolar, but I also feel like there's something else going on. So I feel like there's this underlying paranoia. And it does suck when someone's dealing with that when they've been through a lot, right? But even if somebody had not been through a lot, it would still suck. Oh, definitely schizophrenia. Wait, P word. Schizo is not P word. I don't know what P word is. Oh, paranoia. I'm like, why is that a bad word? Sorry. I'm like, what did I say that was a P word? It could be like schizoaffective disorder. Thank you. Um, there's some of that in her family history. And the thing is like, I want to say, like, when, maybe other people saw stuff along the way and just thought, whatever, that's just her. And they just distanced themselves. And it does take a lot of love to say, like, this isn't okay. And I need to do what I need to do. It's very hard to deal with. It's not easy. And I think it's not talked about enough. Like there's such a stigma against health, people having mental health issues, but there's also a stigma around like how family members handle it. Like you're somehow a bad person if you decide to distance yourself, but it's so much. Um, and my sister has always kind of used me as like and it's not like, oh, I'm a victim or whatever. It's like for whatever reason, I have always been a trigger for her. My mom said even when I was a baby, she like took like I was in some kind of little bassinet or stroller or something in the living room, and she like took me and pushed me into a back room and closed the door. Like she never wanted a lot to do with me. And like I would go and visit when I was in college and high school. When they were in college, I was in high school. I'd go visit them at spring break. Like I'd go with my grandma, but then I'd go get to stay with them for a day or two. And like she would be like, I have a first date. I can't. Like I'm coming from across the country. I haven't seen you, but you're like, this first date is way more important. Um, she just has different, like, now she's like, I really want to be good friends with you. And I'm like, no, sorry. She'll leave voicemails and stuff. And it's not, I just, there's not a safe space there. What causes that? I think so. I think personally that there's the potential for it, right? Then there's trauma just that happens within abusive situations. And then she did drugs when she was young. I remember when she was in high school, she was doing acid and stuff. So I just think it's like a combination of trauma and then doing shit like that to your brain at a young age, and it fucks you up. I'm not a doctor. That's just my feeling. I don't know. And I don't know, like she just, I moved out of my mom's house when I was 13 years old and moved in with my dad. And I made that decision, and my sisters were really hurt by it. But I was really lonely, and I was pretty unhappy little girl. So my mom was, not really present. She worked a lot. And then, I really didn't see her much because she was like, she'd be gone at work when I woke up in the morning, and she'd be gone when I went to bed at night. So I was just lonely. And my sisters were resentful. I don't know. So enough about me. TMI. But my point to you is that it's not easy. You're not alone. There's lots of people who have to make those decisions. And it does change relationships. It doesn't always. But in this case, I just feel like the paranoia will not sit well with her. Like there'll always be this like question in the back of her head. Like it'll get better sometimes, and then I think it'll get worse. And I don't need to talk or tell the story. I don't listen, that's shit that I've like years ago now. It's not like I'm sitting around sad about it. It is what it is. I just felt like to relate for Rothka, and I know that other people are going through that. So and it's just to say that it's not easy. Like doing the right thing is not always easy, and doing a loving act doesn't always look like taking somebody into your home and supporting them. You've broken contact with mine this year, and I have to say it's definitely lifted away. Contact. Yeah. When people are like, oh, but they're family, it's like, but when you're in family that has a lot of dysfunction and abusive behavior, no contact sometimes is the healthiest thing to do. And there is, because if those people aren't willing to have healthy relationships or make amends or whatever, or trying to have growth, and you're allowed to like not have them in your life regardless of genetic connections. I believe you. So you can relate after your mom passed. Same with all of my siblings. Blood doesn't make my good family. It's true. Hard knowing it ends things as they are. We've been close. Anyway, thank you. You're welcome. Look, I will always tell you I can be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. I just don't feel that. And again, I can be wrong. You can come back here and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Ding dong. And I'll be like, okay, I'm so glad I was wrong. Okie doke. I have divulged way more than I should. You're very welcome, Rothka. All right, so I'm going to say goodnight because it's 6:00 and I have been on here for an hour and a half. And I hope that you all have a fabulous week. And enjoy yourselves. I will see you next weekend. Okay? Have a good one.